Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy, and joining me this morning, Hartwell. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, so this morning we're diving into the Ring of Matter, and we're only going to be doing two gates because we don't have lots of time. So, um, can you start us off by telling us what the Ring of Matter is and what the gates are that consist of it?
Yeah, in this ring we have gate 18 and 46, 48, and 57. And really, this is all about the process of incarnating and our relationship to the material world. Um, that's kind of the sketching, the sketch of what it is. We'll say more about that later, but it's all about our external development. So it has a lot to do with developmental psychology, Kris,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the first 3 7-year periods of our life.
The first
Um,
seven are really important. We were talking
what,
about this the other day. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that first 7-year period, then the 8 to 14 and 14, 15 to 21.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of implied quite a bit here with these four. Today we're doing the 18 and the 46, which might be slightly misordered, but hey, it is what
Mm-hmm.
it is.
As long as we get to them all.
Yeah, yeah. The 18 is interesting. The 18 is all about the journey from judgment to perfection via the way of integrity. Its amino acid is alanine, and we're talking about the lymphatic system here. And interestingly enough, 3 of the 4 gene keys that we're going to be looking at are in the spleen, which relates to survival awareness, which is instinctive and intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So with the 18, what we see at the shadow, the level of the shadow is judgment. And this is what arises from our built-in sensitivity to imperfection in the world. It gives rise to criticism, it gives rise to judgment, it gives rise to the need to challenge authority. And this is the gene key that is very relevant to the development of to our mental development
Mm-hmm.
in the years that we're about 14 to 21. So this is all about where we challenge the mental constructs that we were raised with. Um, it's about the victim mind, the gossipy, complaining, worrying part of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so here we see that this pattern of criticism, both self and other, really undermines our world in many ways. Um, and we end up with the awareness of, oh, it's bad to be judgmental, and we try to be non-judgmental, but that's not really the point. The point is not to become non-judgmental. The point is to judge at the same time as that you are as you are aware of judging.
Our favorite word, discernment.
Yes, it is very related to this. And I
Yeah.
find that that word discernment, which you and I talk about so much, is related to a number of the gene keys, but certainly
Mm-hmm.
this one. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when we are called to make a judgment, but we're also aware that we're in that frame
Mm-hmm.
of judging, the frequency changes.
Mm-hmm.
And because there are some things in life that do need to be judged. The
Mm-hmm.
whole point is that we don't identify with our judgments. That we don't make it that we don't make our judgment about our identity.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Is
Yeah.
that coming across?
Well, yeah, it's like okay, I've been in this situation with this person before, say, and a certain thing has happened. So therefore, I discern that I don't want to deal with them because this is the experience that I had, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Versus, oh, that person's an asshole. That's a judgment, right? And the first one is a discernment. I'm discerning that I choose
Yes.
to have that experience again, right? Yeah.
Or it becomes a right wrong thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if you're saying, no, I'm discerning this about that person, and I'm coming to certain conclusions, and yeah, I can see myself judging them, but I mean, I'm giving them enough chances or whatever it is,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Yes. So the vibration is different when it's not simply about being stuck
Hmm.
in that judging, unconsciously judging place.
Right.
And then what it does is it moves to the energy of integrity, which is the gift energy.
Hmm.
Um, and really, integrity is ability to hold your own space without reacting to the judgments of others or to your own self judgments.
Right.
So, for instance, I have a fair, oh, I'm fairly familiar with Gate 18, having it myself, is that our self judgments can be enormously undermining.
Hmm.
Um, but there's also that space where you can get to where you can see your mind doing its thing and you don't react to your own mind, right? Because our mind operates in so many ways on autopilot. Oh, there's my mind judging again, but
Hmm.
that doesn't need to be spoken. That doesn't need to be made real.
Hmm.
It doesn't need to be externalized. And a lot of the judgments I have about myself don't need to be, I don't need to make them a thing.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
when you gain that ability, um, you develop the ability to um, maintain your own integrity, so to speak. And integrity, remember, can also um, mean the tensile strength within the human body, like the integrity of a building or the
Hmm.
integrity of a structure.
Right.
And so that ability to hold one's frame is another way of thinking about integrity.
Hmm.
And at that level, at the level of the gift, integrity it's not about being cruel anymore. The 18 isn't about being cruel. It's about judging from the heart, which serves truth and compassion at
Yeah.
that point.
Well, it's like this feels right to me. This feels like it's in alignment, and therefore I'm in
Mm.
integrity with myself, right? Yeah.
Yes, I
Hmm.
think, yeah, you put that very well. So at the level of the city, it becomes perfection.
Hmm.
And this is where we hear people talking about the Bodhisattva vow.
Hmm.
I will not allow myself to be liberated from the plane of the earth until all beings have the chance to be liberated. So at the level of 18, the gene key 18 at the level of perfection becomes this urge to serve the world in a compassionate way,
Hmm.
seeking for and reaching towards perfection for everyone.
Right.
So it challenges us to align with the highest principles. And this is where people vibrating at this level and expressing through this level of perfection, these are the people we often call saints.
Hmm.
you know um and I mean, I really like what Richard Rudd talks about too. He talks about civic thinking. Civic thinking is the ability to look on everyone around you and see the perfection, see in them their fundamental perfection, and to hold that vision for them.
Isn't that like seeing everyone through God's eyes, is what we say?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
I would say so.
Yeah. So let's move on to 46. What can you tell us about 46?
Well, 46 is the love of the body. And in another way, you could say it's a journey from seriousness to ecstasy via the way of delight. And this has to do with our blood. So if I had thought about this more, I would have maybe gone in order, because in those first 3 7-year segments, the 46 is about 0 to 7. It's about when we're born to the age of 7, where we're establishing our sense of safety within our physical body.
Mm-hmm.
And then the emotional is from 7 to 14. And then the mental plane that we just saw with gene key 18 is the time from 15 to 21. So here we're at the base. We're, the gene key 46 governs our relationship to our physical body. But when we're in a low vibration, when we're in a when we hold tension in our body, when we don't trust life, then we get overly serious. And that seriousness blocks us from a natural flow of energy in our bodies and in the world. And that, that is the cause of a lot of misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a misfortune magnet. And so seriousness is about worrying, expecting, and wishing life to be different than what it is. And ultimately that arises from the impact that is had on us by our parents,
Mm-hmm.
and especially our parents' relationship to their own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your parents, your father and your mother, whatever relationship they had to their own physical body imprints the child.
Mm-hmm.
And what usually happens is that it leads us away from feeling relaxed in our body, and it leads us away from life and love, and it makes us about control and separation.
Yeah, it reminds me too, like if you've had any traumatic experience happen to you from 0 to 7. So, for example, it triggers in me because I had a couple,
Yeah.
how that triggered that not feeling safe within my body,
Yes,
right? Mm-hmm.
exactly. And then it means at a fundamental level, your body doesn't know how to relax potentially.
Mm-hmm. And then you
I
make
mean,
yourself sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, we would have grown up, we would have been raised in a loving, tactile, and virtuous household.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have created the right conditions for our body to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when we don't feel safe, it's not about our mind, it's about our
Mm-hmm.
body, says Richard Rudd. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Does
because
that
that's
not?
our natural instinct, right? That fight or flight, that survival instinct. We're trying to make our physical body survive. It's like prehistoric,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right. But the thing is, when people realize that they're not feeling safe, they often try to deal with it mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that's not the level on which that's not the level of where the fear is coming from, or the
Mm-hmm.
relaxation is not being impeded by their mind and cannot be helped by the mind. It's about
Yeah.
the body.
Right.
So if your body doesn't feel safe, then we become overly serious.
Mm-hmm.
We become overly serious. And and if our parents are in that same place, then they seek to condition their children through control.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they seek to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get to the gift of delight, um, delight emerges when we practice acceptance, because
Mm-hmm.
seriousness is very low frequency.
Mm-hmm.
But if we accept that,
Mm-hmm.
acceptance is one of the primary gateways to releasing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
all about being in the now, accepting the way things are, right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can start, these things can start to get less tight.
Mm-hmm.
And then what can bubble up in us is the sense of aliveness,
Mm-hmm.
being alive and delighting in actually this gift of life that we have been given by
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm.
And we realize that what matters. What matters? What matters really is life and love. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's a paradox that Richard Rudd likes to play with words because this codon ring of matter is all about matter, physical reality, and
Mm-hmm.
how we incarnate into that physical reality. But then there's that thing of all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters but life and love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then we feel soft. The level of delight, we are able to relax into our bodies, and there's this sense of luck, and there's this sense of flow, and there's this sense that genius can emerge,
Mm-hmm.
and serendipity, synchronicity.
Yeah.
And
So
at the
what is
highest
the
level,
city? Mm-hmm.
the city,
Yeah.
the highest level of this love of the body, Gene Key 46 manifests as ecstasy. Ecstasy,
Mm-hmm.
which can, of course, only occur through the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is play, this is orgasm, this is flow. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to describe, and yet we all know we all have this sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the state of gratitude, magnified, the gratitude for being given this body, given this experience of being alive in this world, in this
Mm-hmm.
moment, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think, that in our consciousness, ecstasy is something that we have an idea about, even more so than some of the other words. But
Mm-hmm.
that's because it's so related to our physical reality.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe you could tell us about what's coming up for next week, because there's 2 more gates for the Ring of Matter.
Next week, we talk about Gene Key 48, which is related to the emotional time of the 7 to 14. And the 57 has got implications for the prenatal time, the time then we were being gestated.
Ah.
But this is all about, all of these are about our relationship to our external environment and how we develop within it.
Oh, beautiful. Can't wait.
It's how to help. There's a lot in these gene keys about how to help our children
Mm-hmm.
successfully orient to the world.
So let's segue that into the fact that you're actually doing a tea circle in June on the 20th at 7:30. So the tea circle is just a relaxed atmosphere. It's $25. It includes the tea and treat. And Hartwell is going to be discussing parenting through developing uniqueness, and how do we do that, and using human design. So if that's something that you're interested in or any of your friends are interested in, you can go to our website and register for that event. There is limited seating. So please, if you know anybody that would benefit from that, please share that with them. And it's going to be a wonderful evening. So also, if anybody wants to continue their journey with human design, we have different books here where you can work through your design. We have Hartwell here as a resource for readings. So just come down to Clair-i-tea and give us a call, 587-596-3333, if there's anything that we can do to help you on your journey of evolution. So is there any last words that you want to say, Hartwell?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same channel. And thanks for joining us today. God bless.